Hello, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture, and I am standing in the side yard. This is the shade garden of my Portland, Oregon permaculture garden in Zone 9A, and I owe y'all several updates about this part of the garden. So, I'm a little winded from running around, moving heavy things and shifting mulch, but I want to take a few minutes and talk about what's going on in this garden. Give you some updates on how things are doing over here. So first off is our rain barrel system. How's that working? It's going great with one exception. So these were rain barrels I got for super cheap from some guy who moved into a swanky house and the previous owner had been a prepper and he was like not interested. We had to buy new hoses and connectors and a rain barrel kit here, which resulted in having to buy a whole new gutter because our gutters are the cheap non-standard ones. Thanks previous owners who were house flippers. So we had to change the gutters out. We got this all working. It's been working great. Over the winter, we had one hiccup, and that was when we had our really bad ice storms. And I had not really thought about it because the ice storms came on kind of suddenly, and I didn't really think about how one of the rain barrels was completely full, but not yet draining into the bottom rain barrel. And so one of them burst a gasket and we had to replace that. That's it so far. So be aware of multiple days in a row of temperatures below 15 degrees Fahrenheit if you have a setup like this, and be aware of when one of your barrels is full to the brim, what that means. Video a while back on shade loving beautiful garden plants. This is one of them, Geranium Fam. It's doing great. Beautiful shade loving, nice tall, about 24 inches. And then next to it, this is a plant that I got a cutting of from someone in my neighborhood earlier in the pandemic, like I think 2020, 2021. This is the shade loving dwarf comfrey, and it was just a few little root cuttings, and you can see that it spreads. And that's what I want. I want it to fill in here and be a border. So be aware if you plant this, it spreads, it walks. Not super aggressively. Again, this is about 4 years. Bumblebees really love it. Hey, sweetheart. A beautiful plant that you can chop back down, and the chop and drop from it, great as long as you don't get any pieces of the root, but also it makes good feed for ducks. Ducks love comfrey. Beautiful little white flowers with a little flush of periwinkle up at the top. And the buds are pink, so right, like look at the beautiful different, you get 3 colors in one flower. Stunning. Really, really love this for a ground cover, a border plant in a shady location. But you have to be okay with the fact that once you plant it, it's there forever. It's not going away, and it will walk, and you may need to control it. However, it also means you'll have plenty of cuttings to share with friends who might want some for their shade garden. So still works in progress. This is, I got this from our neighbor. This is a basement concrete sink, and Ruth and I want to turn it into a still pond to create habitat for frogs and put some goldfish in it, and it just hasn't happened yet. So right now it's storing storage tubs and garden buckets. Finished my greenhouse, and then this is next on my list. You can see here, I like to mix in hostas. Hostas can get a little bit slug eaten, but they're doing really well right now. Not really having slug damage from them. Tiny bit. Hostas are edible, by the way. Kind of zombie apocalypse food. I love these huge blue ones. Gorgeous. White currants planted above. This is the native bleeding heart, Dicentra formosa. Great ground cover. Dies back when weather gets hot. Things are a little overgrown. My snowberry is very, 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 very happy here and overgrows the path. So it should fit, but it really doesn't. Nipplewort is an easy annual weed to pull up. Very easy to pull up, but it comes up everywhere. These are my bear's breeches, which was one of my favorite plants, and I thought I had lost them in a very bad hard freeze that we had, and lo and behold, it's coming back. So I'm super stoked about that because I love bear's breeches. More geranium fam over here. This is meadow rue, one of my favorite plants. Again, this is a snowberry that's just like a little too vigorous and happy. I'm gonna have to put it back here, native. I've got some ferns going on, and then this is the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about. So let me flip the camera around, hang on. Okay, this is the other beast. I did a video, a while back in the fall, was it? We had a bad storm and I'm having weird hair right now, you guys. Just let's roll with it. This is my other pawpaw. So I have a pawpaw here, and then right through the gate, I have a pawpaw here and a pawpaw over there. They're all within reach of pollinating each other. This one has never bloomed all that well, and I think it's because it gets more shade. It was a little slower. It has a bajillion flowers on it this year, and I've noticed some of them have already set fruit. So this is Asamina triloba. This is a improved Peterson pawpaw. I planted it as a little whip. You can go back and look at younger me planting this little tiny whip back here. We had a bad storm. It was very windy, and sometimes this side of the house gets to be like a little wind tunnel where wind comes in from the Columbia Gorge this way and kind of whips in around here between my house and my lovely neighbor's house. And it created a little vortex, and this tree got knocked over. And I was so devastated because pawpaws are hard to grow here. They're fiddly. And I thought, like, crap, it's done for. So after the bad storm was over, I just had my husband and I came out and we just propped it up. We tamped down the ground really well, and ta-da, it's doing great. Yeah, so I'm super stoked about that. Here's a little bit better look. Oh my gosh, if all of these set fruit, it's interesting to me how much more elongated the flowers are on this variety. Female flower, older flower becomes a male flower. Starts out female, ages, becomes male. So this one is able to be pollinated. This one produces pollen. At the base of it, this guild around here has native fringe cup, astilbes, all kinds of things in here. This sword fern is never super happy. I think the heat from my dryer vent is part of why this pawpaw is really happy, part of why that sword fern is not. Also in here I have Oxalis oregana. This is our native, beautiful. This is a great ground cover for shade. The backside is purple, so a shady, like kind of windy location or somewhere we can brush along it when you walk, you get this little flirty flip of purple. Beautiful, and I think it looks great next to the more fern-like Dicentra formosa, which is almost done flowering. Hosta. I got this from a tiny little cutting from my mom's garden, 8 years ago or so, and look how happy this is. Look at this massive thing. Now, you may know that we used to have an elderberry here, and it was too close to the house. It would rub on the house, and I had to remove it. So this area is going to get a little bit more sun. I have my big elderberry here that still is providing shade, and this is naturally a shadier part, but we will see if these hostas get cooked in the summer. I may need to figure out something to put in here to provide more protection for them in the summer. Okay, my neighbors have decided to mow, so that is a good sign for me to wrap up. Plus I have lots more yard work to do, but I just wanted to give you an update from this little corner of the yard. Look at all the thimbleberry in bloom. Beautiful. That's a native, non-thorny member of the raspberry family that walks by runners, just like my little comfrey here. Be aware when you're planting something in a narrow garden, the potential for it to walk across the fence line into your neighbors. Think about that when you're planting and strategizing. You want to be a good neighbor with plants that tend to spread. And also think about how that's going to require maintenance for the rest of the life of your garden. This is a well-behaved plant that does not like foot traffic, so it does well along a path. It will spread, but you can really contain it by good foot traffic. And it's pretty easy to rip up if it comes up where you don't want it. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna get back to yard work. Thanks so much for watching this little update today. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and please feel free to let me know any of your garden questions about growing in the shade, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. Thanks.